I really didn't think it could be this bad. Literally moments where I thought I blacked out. I was like, did I black out in this movie and miss this? No, it's just poor writing. All right, what is up to all my weirdos, queerdos, and brohos? It is me, your host, Audra, for this video. Y'all, I finally watched Morbius.
I'm coming.
Now, when the hullabaloo was coming out about this movie, I paid it no mind because I have a tendency to like movies that most people don't like, and then I also dislike movies that other people do like. So, for instance, a lot of people liked Harley Quinn and the Emancipation of Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, like whatever that long ass title. I did not like it, right? I did not enjoy that. Most people enjoy it. They write feminine think pieces on this movie. I didn't enjoy it. I was like, this is shit. So almost immediately, I'm just like, this is hot garbage. I'm over it. Like, no. And I didn't understand. I was like, why does everybody like it? So I went into this thinking, it's going to be another one of those things, right? Where it's like everybody else hated it and I'm going to love it, y'all.
Tell Michael, you tell him I'm gonna kill as many as I want.
I really thought that people were exaggerating, okay? I thought that they were exaggerating. I was like, they have to be exaggerating, like hyperbole, right? For views, for clicks. Listen.
Don't move.
I'm just gonna go ahead. First of all, there will definitely be spoilers in this. And second of all, I'm gonna go ahead and just say this from jump. Somewhere in there is a good movie. Do you know what I mean? Like somewhere, but that's not what got made. When I watched it, I was like, so who saw this edit and was like, brava, ship it? Because I don't know who did. With a 1 hour and 44-minute runtime, I cannot fathom how you couldn't piece this together. So Jared Leto obviously plays the titular character Morbius, first name Michael. So he runs into this kid Milo in what I believe is an orphanage or something. Like, hold on, because I was watching it, and I've watched it 2 times, but I still feel like I somehow blacked out. Like I feel like I blacked out, and I've got to like make sure, because I wrote some notes about this. They're at a hospital in Greece, and Michael Morbius meets Lucian, who he renames Milo, right? And he's like, hey. And at the beginning of this movie, I guess they become brothers. This is how the movie starts. Lucian's, they both have a rare blood disorder, and Lucian's like machine stops functioning, and he just kind of goes like slumps over, and then Michael fixes it. And because he fixes it, apparently he's a genius, and he gets sent off to like go to like medical school and like be super smart. And this is the first time where I was like, what just happened here? I'm sorry, I'm gonna try not to laugh. This was the first time I was just like, what the just happened here? I was very confused because I was like, how did we literally go from him like taking a little piece of this and being like bloop 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 to it's like, oh, he's a genius and we're gonna nurture his genius? What? Like, y'all couldn't do a montage or something showing that he's like super smart? Like, that was my takeaway. Just that because he could use this machine, like he could fix it right quick with like minimal tools. I was like, oh my God, smartest kid in the world. Like, but I let that slide. I was like, maybe they're just trying to like move along with the runtime. And I have a bone to pick with Marvel, which I'm not sure if I should say it out loud at any point in time, but I'm probably going to do it at some point, make all the Marvel bros mad at me. And, that's going to be my life. That's why this is a hobby and not my life's work, because, I don't want any smoke, but I'm going to get it. So from there, you just suddenly see him as a grown-up, and he's getting an award, and he just declines it. And so he's trying to find the cure for his blood illness, for his like very rare, incurable blood disease, which he and a few other people on the planet have, including his brother Milo, a patient that he's working with in the hospital. And he's, obviously very sickly. They have to use crutches to move around. And there's so many weird skips, right? And again, we're like, just commit to a 2.5 hour runtime so that you can not have holes, right? So the first part where they meet his brothers, they needed to have a little montage of them growing up. And here's why they needed this montage. Like, I'm not going to go through the movie bit by bit like I normally do. I'm going to talk about like little bits and pieces as to why it could have been better. So what I'm going to say here is like a montage of them growing up would have helped this movie significantly, right? Of seeing Michael, doing smart things and being intelligent and like going through school and doing all this, while seeing Milo kind of messing things up in life, like, and not really getting in trouble for it because he has money to smooth over all of his problems. Seeing them call each other on the phone back and forth, and knowing that they're still staying in contact and that they really are brothers. Like, this is a brotherhood, right? And that would have helped significantly, even just that little thing, so that when they grow up and they're adult, they show them as adults. We don't just have to take Michael's word for it that Milo is his best friend, because that's quite literally what he does. He's like, my best friend, and he like says that, and we're just all like, oh, okay. So because you said he's your best friend, I'm supposed to feel it. And I don't feel that they are best friends or brothers, honestly. Not until the bitter end. And even then, no, I don't feel it then either. I don't feel it because we didn't get any screen time of seeing them truly be brothers. We see them interact on occasion, but it doesn't make sense. The other thing I want to talk about is the love interest. And let me just double check, because listen, I be messing up everybody's name, and I'm sure everybody's tired of being like, I'm bad with names. I am bad with names. I'm trying, but I'm just, it's not my forte. Audra, I think it's Adria Arjona, plays Martine. And she is obviously the love interest in this movie, but it's not so obvious. And this is, again, stop trying to have a love interest when there's no need. If you're not going to build that character, there's literally zero reason to try to like shoehorn this love story in, because it actually doesn't make sense. One thing for me that would have fixed it is that like while they, her and Michael were working in the lab and they're talking or whatever, and she's like, well, of course, you're brilliant. And he's like, well, not, until I solve this or whatever, right? And then they get really close to kissing, and he pulls back, and she gets frustrated and is like, Michael, why won't you let me in? And then he proceeds to explain that he can't let her in. He cannot start this, knowing that there's no cure for his disease, and he would not forgive himself for leaving her like this, right? And she insists that, she loves his brilliant mind and she would be there for him. Because I feel like there's two problems that I have with when they do finally kiss and whatnot, and she dies. You're welcome. But the first is that I don't see anything that would lead me to believe that they were even interested in each other than people saying things like Milo saying, don't fall for Martine. And I'm like, what? Why would you say that? We'll get there. Pin in that. So maybe it's three things with Martine. And then the other is that I really hate when movies do this, when people are disabled and then become abled. I really hate that when they are disabled, they are unable to have the love interest, right? Then they become abled and suddenly they're kissing. If you were going to do that, I needed to see beforehand that she cared for him and loved him in his disabled state. I need this to happen, okay? For disabled people worldwide, we need this to happen. It's one of the reasons why I love that movie with Angelina Jolie and Denzel Washington. I feel like The Bone Collector. I'll talk about that one day. But it's one of the reasons why I love that movie, because there is a love story between an able-bodied person and a disabled person. And I was like, yes, I was for it. The love scenes in there, for me. Oh my God. Anyways, back to Morbius. The third problem I have is that at no point do we ever see or feel that Milo, his brother, has a crush on Martine. There is no interaction there that would lead me to believe that he has had an unrequited lust for her from day one. Even in the conversations that they have, I don't see where, like, you're supposed to get from this that Martine is somebody that Milo has lusted after all this time, but just because he feels that he is disabled, nobody wants him, that is his feeling, that's how they portray him in the film, that he never, went for it, right? And in his mind, she wouldn't go for either one of them because both him and Michael are disabled, and he feels that they are on this even playing field, sort of. So it would have been nice to get some interaction somewhere that would have shown that, like, he liked her and that she liked Michael, and she and Michael have a thing, but he won't let it be because he feels like he is going, not because he's disabled, very important to throw that in there, not because he's disabled, but because he feels like he is going to die. And if he is going to die, he does not want to start a relationship that would end up leaving her alone once he is gone. He has this, because they keep trying to show that he has this care for humanity, human beings, all of this. He's created a fake blood, a synthetic blood. Let me just use sciencey words. A synthetic blood, which he has, which came out of him trying to solve his blood disorder, right? And so being able to show that they would be together if it weren't for the fact that he was going to die would have made more sense for me. I would have been like, okay, I get it, right? So when he is no longer dying, not just not disabled, but no longer dying, then we see that he is able to, like, give in to the urge to be with her, right? And by showing that Milo underneath has always had a thing for Martine, by, I don't know, having him show up at the center, trying to kind of flirt with her a little bit, but like getting nowhere. Maybe they're at a gala and he's like, oh, we should dance, and then like jokes offhand, kind of making it known that he is interested in her, but she is not interested in him, and the irritation that he kind of feels about that. Now, onto the relationship between Michael and Milo. This movie does a horrific job of showing that they're brothers, number one, that they have a close bond. I don't feel that at all. From jump, from beginning to end, I never feel this bond. And this becomes extremely important when Milo turns on Michael. And the reason it's so important is because when he turns on him, you suddenly realize, suddenly he has this deep, seething hatred for Michael. Michael's the good brother, the one who does everything right, while Milo is the loser. But we never saw that. That's why I said the montage, I know people, montage, but the montage of showing them aging, growing up, and going through that, seeing Milo get into trouble, because the only indication that we get that Milo might be a troublemaker is at the very beginning of the movie where Michael writes a letter to Milo, which apparently he's really good at very complex origami folding, and Michael is. And gives a letter, leaves him, like, letting him know that he's leaving and that they'll be brothers forever, blah, blah, blah. And some bullies steal it from Milo, right? And when they steal it, he tries to get it back. His father, I think his name is Nicholas. I feel like that's correct. I'll put it here if I'm correct. And if I'm not correct, I'll put the real name. Gets Milo to stop. He then begins to really fight with the bully and whacks them as hard as possible. And it may be the other way around. He whacks them as hard as possible with one of his canes. And then that results in a beatdown and all this stuff. That's the only indication that we get that Milo is violent and more has a darker streak in him. The problem with that is that we need to see that going forward. So like I said, a 90-second montage, even 45 seconds of them growing up and having conversations and seeing Milo on the seedier side of life doing darker things, and then watching Michael be on the lighter side of life and doing well with his science and being a doctor would have helped. Because again, the other indication that we get too is that when Michael goes to visit Milo, there's Russian guards at the door. And so once again, and we're told basically that, Milo was playing cards with some unsavory Russian mafia folks, and it has, not gone well. That's, to me, I'm just like, why wouldn't you show me this? And it's a show. They just don't show you. They keep trying to tell you things, but not showing it to you. And they're not even doing a good job of telling you. If you're going to tell me, then tell me well. If you're going to show me, then show me well. But you can't not show me and then also not tell me well. It's just crap. You're just sitting here like, all right. And that's why I thought I blacked out at some point in this movie, because I was like, I must have blacked out and missed it because I didn't understand why Milo hated Michael so much. Like, it was really weird. Like, aside from Michael taking the cure and then also saying you can't have it because it's, not stable. I also don't remember, like, correct me if I'm wrong. I watched this twice. I still don't see it when Milo takes the serum anyway. Like, I missed that. Like, what does he know about any of this to have just tested it on himself? Like, I feel like there were some things that needed to be there. For instance, I don't know, maybe because Michael was on a ship that Milo commandeered for him to be able to use out in, those waters where you can't get in trouble. You know what I mean? International waters. There we go. Out in international waters. Maybe he was able to get the feed, get the information from there and see like what had taken place. And therefore, because for whatever, he has it backed up, whatever it is, have some information, even though he wipes it, there's a backup that Milo had access to because he wanted to see the progress of what his brother was doing, brother in quotation marks. Something to indicate why he would just take it. Because I'm sorry, I don't want to be rude, but even if I seeing somebody just be like, whoa, and drinking blood, like I'm not really, even if I'm supposed to be dark and seedy, I'm not really like interested in just like taking this, I'm not interested in like just doing this to myself. Like, and I know that this is based off of a comic book. I haven't read it. Again, this is another problem I have with these types of movies with Marvel a lot, is that they're depending on everybody who's read the comic books, and you have to stop doing that. When you make it into a film, I don't care. And I will say this about anyone. Any movie, if you make it into a film, you cannot, absolutely positively cannot rely on people having read the source material. It's just not like the two audiences don't always overlap. Some people just want to watch a movie. You know what I mean? Some people want to watch a movie. They know the books exist. They know the comic books exist. They're like, yeah, no, I just want to watch a movie. I personally am not a fan of comic books because I get more engrossed in the pictures and I never read the story. I understand that about myself, so I don't do that. And so like I will read books, right? But I don't like to read comic books because again, I get very much engrossed in, wow, the illustrations in this are gorgeous. And then I'm just not the armpit. And then I'm just not really paying much attention to the story. And I forget that exists, right? So I feel like they kept relying on you being able to fill in the blanks because you read the comic book. And I'm like, no, don't do that. And I'm just like, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work for us. I just felt like the whole time I'm seeing these two brothers and I'm not seeing that they are brothers. I'm not seeing why Milo hates Michael underneath because it's the kind of hatred that you can only have for someone you also love, right? So you're just kind of awash in confusion when Milo just like turns on him. And here's the other thing. I literally there was nobody showed us how either of them mastered these powers that they have. Like nothing. I would have actually have enjoyed when Milo took it, seeing that he was easily able to master them because he's on the dark side of things and was giving in to the baser urges of the vampire cure. Where you're seeing Morbius struggle because he doesn't want to kill anyone. So, and that's the other thing is like, let's get into the cops. All right. I'm hoping that this will be my final point because I'm going in circles and I'm talking, y'all know how I do. I'm going to jump from subject to subject. Here's the other thing. Unless I miss something in this city, are these cops just used to seeing shit like this? Is this like the norm? Because the way that they were in zero surprised when he just like phased the fuck out, like, and just started flitting around, like they were just like, stop. Like there, no surprise, no like what the, like none of that. They were just like, it's another day. Even in Gotham City, you know what I mean? With Batman, the cops get confused by Batman. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm sorry. But like, even in Gotham City, the cops are like, you know, when they see some wild shit, you know, like Killer Croc. What the fuck is it? Like, they lose it, right? And these cops here were just like, yeah, there's just a dude phasing in and out, and like zero confusion there. Also, I really hated how this is where I thought I blacked out, okay? Because when they go to the ship, the cops, played by Al Madrigal and Tyrese Gibson, they go to the ship, they find the bloodless bodies, and then they just show up at Morbius's lab. And then Morbius is just like, oh shit, they know it's me. Like, there was no... Sorry. There was literally like no rhyme or reason. So I really did think that I blacked out, which is why I watched it again. Because I was like, maybe I missed it when they were like, oh, it's obviously Dr. Morbius. Like I was like, did I just disassociate in the middle of the movie? Like, because I'm known to do that. That's fine. So I was just like, how did I? And so I watched it again. I was like, no, there's no connection. They just know it's him and they just show up. And I felt like it would have been better if they showed up and they were like, you are the world's leading blood scientist. And do you know any reason why a killer would remove all the blood from, you know, the bodies? And more like him helping the cops until the cops are like, wait a minute. It might be him. Like for whatever, they find something that makes them think it could be him, right? Like a manifest that shows he was on the ship.
You've been looking for a cure for your condition your whole life, right? I mean, you've pretty much tried everything.
Crazy experiments, maybe on a boat.
Something other than like, hey, it looks like it's you. There's just these giant leaps of faith. And like, they're not even fazed by him like kind of changing his face. They just sit there. And it led me to believe like, what kind of city, what kind of, I know that this is New York, right? And if you're a native New Yorker, maybe you're used to seeing this kind of, I'm not used to seeing this kind of shit. So watching somebody's face just, and you're just like, it's cool, bro. So yeah, this was very confusing. It could have used 30 more minutes to flesh everything out. And yeah, this is my problem with Marvel. Again, this is another movie that they wanted to throw into the Marvel universe, and they didn't give a shit about the story so long as they had another Marvel property. And this is just gonna keep happening as long as people keep watching it. I am in shock, baffled, befuddled, and confused as to how they thought, like literally, we're like, this is good. This is a movie. It's not. And, you know, Jared Leto's whole acting style is like, look into my blue eyes. So yeah, if y'all want to watch it, watch it. If you saw it, like, let me know. Did you feel like a lot of times that you just missed shit when you were watching it? You're like, did I just miss it? Like, what happened? How did this happen? Did you rewind? Did you watch it again to make sure that you, like, didn't just, you know? You didn't just like disappear, like you didn't fall asleep, you didn't blink too hard. Cause that's how I felt. I was like, maybe I blinked too hard. Maybe I fell asleep. Like, well, I don't know what happened here, but it was a lot. Anyways, that is it. That is this video. Y'all, subscribe if you'd like. That's great. Follow me on Twitter. You know, I do things there sometimes. Follow me on Instagram to see looks if you want to see looks. A lot of reels. I'm having trouble taking photos these days, so, you know, We'll see how that goes. And follow me on Twitch, so we can I do some makeup content there. I'm about to start doing more makeup content there. Also, I play Doom in there and super massive games. So yeah, that's my plug. This video, as is all of my videos, is sponsored by my wonderful patrons and channel members, without whom I would not be able to spend time, energy, and effort into creating these videos. I would not have been able to up my editing game, because the editing software, not cheap. So if you'd like to become a member or patron, you can find that information in the description box below. As soon as I am done doing new car stuff, like y'all, new car, hospital, like medical, and then we're back into the good party. Maybe even before then, because I'm over waiting. All right. I'm tired of waiting for shit to go right. All right. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't seen some of my other retellings of stories, watch those. Some of those, it might be after this video, check out what happens here. All right. It costs $0 to be kind. It is so good for your soul, because if you don't take care of it, I'm sure shit coming for yours. Until next time, XOXO, Gothic girl. This look is fucking fire. I'm on like a whole, listen, when you take out your braids, I do anyway, I let my hair just be crunchy as fuck for like 2 days. Let it just poof back out and get back to its normal state before I